Hello, everybody. So why do people behave the way in which they do? What causes somebody to behave in one manner and somebody else to behave in the other? This is a difficult situation and one that really can't be solved or resolved by one study or watching one show that showcases why people act the way they do. It is tough to determine why people behave, but there are certain backgrounds that cause people to act, react, behave in a certain manner. And we'll talk about the three most important today. There's certainly more, but the three most important. First is heredity and genetics. There are some people that you hear this statement, I have a temper and I get my temper from my parents. Are there, say, a certain nationality or heritage makes one group of people more predisposed to have a temper versus others? I don't necessarily know that that's true, and here's why. There's people who have a very bad temper, but they seem to control it at work. But yet in their home life, they certainly don't control it. So I think that it certainly can be controlled. But what we do know is there are certain genetics and certain heredity that you have just as a result of who you were born to. There was a study that indicated that about 30% of your personality is inherited from your parents and grandparents. But, of course, some people will say that's the way that you are. But if only 30% is from heredity and genetics, that means that 70%, the more controlling aspect, is one that you can control, which means your personality is largely within your control. However, there is some impact there. And so the way you behave, the way you act, we can say that it is partly controlled by your heredity. Second is the environment. And this goes to the age-old argument of heredity, environment, genetics, environment. Are you born great? Are you to become great, to use a leadership term? And in this realm, what we're talking about is your environment does influence how you behave. There is thoughts that if you grow up in an abusive home that you tend to be, or you can be more predisposed to be abusive as well, because that's what you know. That's how you treat certain people, whether it's genders, or you learn that from your parents and from your family and friends, from your churches, from your school, from your jobs. So all of those influences, that's why we call them influences, do have an impact on how you behave. Again, which is more controlling, your heredity or your environment? Different studies will indicate different aspects. But what we do know is that both do inhibit, but also encourage the type of behavior that you have. The last aspect is what I call wishes and desires. In general, it's what you want. You tend to act and behave based on what you want. If you go back to a small child, they may act a certain manner, having, we call them tantrums, may have a tantrum because they want something. And I was with some friends of mine today, and they had their little daughter with them, and you can see that the little daughter was acting out because she wanted something that somebody else wanted. And so they learn to behave if they're rewarded. If they're not rewarded, they behave differently. But the wishes and desires cause you to behave in a certain manner, even as adults. You may have someone who sulks. You hear the sulk of they're mad, so they're just not going to talk to you. When they're mad at you, they're not going to talk to you because they didn't get what they want. And if they got what they want, they certainly wouldn't be mad anymore. So that's why we behave the way we did. Those three primary characteristics of heredity and genetics. Second is environment, and third is wishes and desires. Control those, learn about those, and you have a better chance of modifying your own behavior or with the behavior of people you work with. Everybody, enjoy the day.